Hi, you're watching Sean and John here with Shopworx. We're starting part 4 on the 6-door build here. And just to do a quick recap, we've got the frame extended here and body lifts built for the front here. Start leveling it out, run it to the back. We're stripping the interior out of the cab here that we're going to be using as the main part, and then building on the back here with the second crew cab and then the Bronco back end. So we're pulling the seat belts out, and I'm going to be starting to rip on the dash here, and then hopefully we can get to a point pretty soon where we can cut the back end off here, do a bunch of measuring and whatnot, figure out where it'll line up the best between the two halves, and cut them both and put them together. So let's get going. For some reason, all these seatbelt bolts, it doesn't matter which truck I've ever tore into, but they're always a real pain in the butt to get out, and I've broken many Torx 50 sockets on here. As you can tell, the only one tip I can say about the Torx 50 sockets is go and get the snap-on ones there. Nice thing about them is you can get inserts for them, as you can see right here in my toolbox, my one toolbox here. It's Torx 50. You just pound them out and pound the new ones in, then take the old ones back into snap-on, and they'll exchange them for you. So about the only thing I've ever found that stands up. Never use them on an impact, and you'll keep getting a warranty. And I've gone through quite a few, Stanley, Canadian Tire Specials, Husky, you name it. I've tried them, and no-namers on Amazon, they all break. So that's the only thing I've found, and I put a lot of cat's ass on it there every time, and still have problems. Not sure where it's floating around here. I bent up the other day. No, that was a good one. That's one you bent up today. Yeah. You can see that one there. Like I say, it's a Torx 50 and a snap-on, so they will warranty it. But yeah, no, there's the other one I put a twist in. Hey, this one here. This is the one with those interchangeable bits there. It's a STXL 50E, and it's got a little wider girth here than most. And you can tell sort of by the pattern on it here that it's got a spiral going on her. So anyway, here's what it is, and we'll get some new ones. Well, first of all, everything's all gutted out on the inside there, other than some tools and whatnot. I'm going to be having to remove the windows and the doors here. I'm going to be doing grinding and welding, and I want to use the doors just check fitment when I put the two of them together there. So I want to leave the doors on, and front ones there, I'm going to pull the glass out of them. It's all going to have to be pulled for paint anyway. Well, we got it cut out. It's got the normal rust spots you see on these things, right in the two bottom lower corners. And through here it's all rusty. No sealant on it. Looks like coming through right up on the top here, just getting ready to. There's a few other spots in and around here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not there, but that's dead center at the top. The corners are looking a little rusty, and again down here at the lower. So have to clean all that up, pop the clips off, and take her down to bare metal and seal her up proper. Been looking at other people's builds and whatnot, and some guys have been cutting it right here and trying to match up front to back there with everything. And another guy I watched, he ended up cutting his right back over here. I didn't really watch, I guess I followed along in some forums. And he ended up cutting right back in front, so it came by and just missed the drain hole there. I'm going to be doing it a little different. I'm going to be tearing it apart right on Ford's actual factory seam here. Drill out all the spot welds. I'm just putting a pilot bit, 1/8" pilot bit in right now. Go through, drill them all out, and separate right on the seam. All the measurements sort of line up with the front seam here too on this one, so everything should be good that way. I've been measuring with a straight edge up on top of the weather stripping seam here, so I can measure up to the roof and down to the floor and whatnot there, and that's all coming out pretty good that way. So drill out most of these here, and then I got to figure out where I'm cutting the top still. Haven't made it that far yet. one thing at a time here to screw up, so we'll get this coming apart here, and then I'm gonna cut it back here. Right, this hole here is actually where the edge of the panel here sticks out underneath, so that'll give me some ease of adjustment. And then after we're done, I'll plug weld the other one back in here when I get it cut apart, and then we'll clean up the bottom first before I put them together, made them up, but clean it up and put some Dicor or some kind of a seam sealer on the bottom side there, and we'll weatherproof it that way. So, anywho, that's where I'm going to be going with this right now. Usually if you take it apart on a factory seam, it shouldn't be too hard to mate back up. It gives you a little bit of adjustment without having to cut everything. And the top will be the hard one to fit. Well, I'm sure I probably missed a few in here, but those are the ones that were easy to spot. This is the spot weld cutter I like. I've tried a bunch of the cheap ones and whatnot. This one here comes in a nice case. And you've got the replaceable cutters for it. The other thing I like about it is it has actual drill bits instead of just a little spring-loaded centerer that never really wants to stay where you want to put it. Just like trying to drill these here, so see how it goes here. Stuck right in there. See what I mean about cutting them out. Pretty much all the plug welds out that I know of for now anyway. So we'll See what we end up having to separate with the bar after. So I've got all the spot welds out on the back here that I know of. We're going to use some seam splitters and try to work that out here in a little bit. In the meantime, John's tearing apart the doors here. We got the windows opened up on there, and he's pulling the gaskets off the top so we can remove the vent windows. And once the vent windows are loosened off, we can get the other windows out. This isn't a waste of time for us because we're going to be stripping the doors right down for final body work and whatnot. So we got to pull all the power locks, linkages, etc., 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 right down to the bare shell. So it's got to happen now or got to happen later. So may as well get the glass out so it doesn't get pitted up with the grinding and welding. And so we're going to be working midpoint on the rear windows here. I got it marked out. It'll be the first line, second line from the back, first line from the front. So sort of where my plan is. I might reevaluate that still before I cut it. It's one of these things here that's taken some time to figure out when and where, and try to keep the best roof profile. So see if it changes. Looks like somebody tried to repair these broken door cracks before on this unit here. Have to see how good these things really look from here. They don't look so great. But once we get them apart, we can have a look at that. Well, I've got a string vice grip on here, and using it for a nice straight edge. At least get it marked out, and I'm going to use a folder and draw lines in between where everything is here. It's probably not the finished mark. I'm hoping to move it up a little bit here, but I'd rather have extra than not enough. So at this point, that's where we're going to cut it. Like I say, it should be, if everything works out with my calculation, should be 2 inches up still. But so we cut the next one, get it all fitted up, make sure everything's going to work, and see how that's going to go. So we'll pop this and start filling in the blanks here. All that I'm using right now is just a plain old file folder, so the guy can draw the straight line and still contour it around the ribs. That should have that for now. We'll get the top cut off, and then I still have a few spots to cut on the bottom there before everything's free to break loose. So see if we can't get at her. Do the whole loop, and then I'll cut the ends in after. Once more on the other side. Well, about like that. Well, we got it separated. Left the doors on so we can line up the next set easier using the strikers and the body lines. Have to go through after. I'm going to fill all these plug welds, obviously clean the rust and everything off there. Figure out where I'm cutting these still. And all this seam sealer and whatnot, get it out of here. Clean her up. And then when we bring the other one in, I'll probably end up using the holes from the plug welds, drilling them out. And have this all ready to go and do it, and then we'll seam seal the bottom after, seam seal the top, and have her. And then the top, it's just going to get butt welded. Give you guys an idea of what the inside of that structure looks like there. Probably going to be cutting it back. And we'll join in at a different plane as the original one. It went kaboom? Nope. Well, I guess there you have it. We'll let that snow melt off and everything there. I'll pull the heater box off at the front there. And we're going to cut the top of the roof and the same way we did the front or the back of the other one, we're going to do the front of this one. Drill out all the spot welds and be able to butt it up, set it down on top. So I'm going to leave the back wall in to keep the integrity of the cab there, because if you cut the front and the back, then you're kind of one dinking it, kind of like the roof there. You saw as I cut it, it settled down a little. So we're going to have to make sure all those pieces will line up later and set the elevation up and everything. But that's where we're at for now. It's the same crappy foam that they use on here that they put on the fenders that rots out between the wheel wells and the block sides or quarter panels. Might need that for later. These holes are just a round one here. I can see it. So you were holding it right in the tube. The only thing I see holding it would be. Bit of weld hole in it. We'll do the other side. Yep, this one's free moving. Slide her forward a little. Where is it? Oh, right here somewhere. Right there. Carry that? Huh? So it might be nice to get it off the hand or instead of firing the hole up and let it out. Well, I've got the front of the second cab hacked off here. Like I say, there's still going to be, my best guess, 2 inches we're going to have to shave off the white cab there to get everything to line up. So we're just going to slide it forward so I can prep both sides here. And, you know, do some cleanup, get rid of the rust, top and bottoms, and get her ready to go. Clean up on it still. Right under the bottom here. Got this neck here. Well, it's getting closer anyway. So what I'm gonna have to do is get under here with a disc, clean up all the seam sealer, all the rust. Same with here, clean up all this crap on here and then fill all these little holes from the plug weld.
Yep, do this too.
I'm gonna have to cut the spots on the lower cab frame.
Back in here would be the better part. I think give me more strength instead of being the welds all in one spot.
Yeah, either way you gotta clean them out. And then same with that roof, figure out where we're gonna cut it, because my best guess should have been 2 inches over here, and then I'd like to stagger these, so I'd probably end up cutting up on top here, cut back on here, and bring it forward on there. Make sense?
Yep.
Clear as mud.
Stagger your welds so you get more strength that way.
We're ready to roll this on the back here now at this point. Move the square and stuff.
Roll it back.
Roll it on the back window so I can clean the bottom up easy. So falling forwards. Perfect. I guess while it's up like this, I'll show you guys here, I'm going to have to replace this piece. I'm probably going to use, I'm thinking 10 gauge steel, just cut the whole piece out here. So all the problem is it gets in between the 2 panels here, the bracket itself and the actual panel there, and that's where the seat belts are. It goes up onto the B pillar, or in this case I guess that would be the C pillar, but they always rust out right in here, and it's always from moisture off the tires and the salt and everything on both sides. So I'm thinking about just cutting this piece out, putting a piece of 10 gauge in there, and then reforming, filling the rest here. Other than that, it doesn't look terrible, considering the truck's how old. Everything from here down is getting chopped, so not going to waste any time on that. From here? Yeah, from right here down. Well, I shouldn't cut that actually until we turn into the Bronco.
Yeah.
But my best guess is it'll be the same seams, right? Should be. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, then clean it up. Well, as you can tell up here, I went through and hit the bottom side here with the flap sander, took off any sharp edges, and hit her with a surface prep disc, so there should be not a whole lot in there to contaminate anything when welding. And down here, I did the same thing, and got rid of all the goop and sharp edges, and we'll go in and fill all these little plug holes here and make it a flat surface for welding the other panel onto. Well, I'm not going to lie, I don't use this welder too often here, so it's First, I'm probably using it in about 2 years. Just have it set up for 023 with gas for doing thin panel like this. I usually don't do a whole lot of thin stuff, more into building bumpers and accessories and stuff, so, you know, 1/8 inch plus. So, I'll be refreshing my memory on some settings here. Well, there you have it. I've got them all filled in now. Just gotta go back and give them a quick grind and flat sand, and we should be ready to lay the other one down here and see if we can test fit this stuff here. So let's clean her up and see if we can't make it look like it's some kind of a 6-door. Well, got it all prepped. Got the welds welded in on the holes where it was plug welded and cut out. Now we're going to drop this down, and I think I'm going to be 2 inches too long still, and I guess see how it fits. We gotta come up a lot. Well, what we should probably start with is, oh yeah, we're like 4 or 5 inches low on the back end for sure. Made me wonder. I cut the 2 inches off the wrong end. Touching the roofing. Well, we're still low here for sure, so that's good. Probably an inch low on the back still. We've got to come together at least an inch up front. That should work out. Still got to come together quite a bit. I'm looking at the door striker. I got to come ahead 2.5 inches still here. Yeah. I'm sitting pretty level on this side as far as height. So, I guess just to make sure we're still working right here. 3 inches from the front of the stud to the back of the other one. move ahead 2 inches. 1 3/4 inches. Whatever I'm doing, I'm thinking the seatbelt studs have to line up no matter what. So that would be my given. So it's looking like my measurements might be a little off here. Or at least my hopes and dreams of them using a actual cab line for building on pieces here. Seems like we're, where's that 8 measure at? Kinda hard to, probably off camera here, but a little over 16 3/4 to that seatbelt stud, and I think I gotta be 15 dead on the front to the back. You know, those things have bench seats front and back, and they're interchangeable. Yeah, I'm 15 from start of the stud to start of the stud. And start of the broken stud to the hole is just shy of 17. I'm still going to come ahead just about 2 inches. Guess that's a little more rust I can chop off out of here for now. Before anybody asks, I'm probably going to be taking that rust and cutting it out later, but I just don't want to screw myself on measurements and welding and everything here, so leaving everything the way it should be, and then the guy gets near it and we'll slice and dice what we got to cut. Anyway, I guess it's good we're a little long, not short. Might as well hop up and have a look up the top here. Well, I'm assuming I should be able to work with that. Between pulling on the one and lifting the other a little bit there, I noticed when we cut the white cab it did sag. So I left the back end in on the orange cab here. So we got the joint all done up and everything leveled out. Let's see if we can't get that figured out here in the next little bit and see what we're going to do. You can see there's a ton of hail damage up here. Well, I've got the last 1/4 inch or so to fit up in here still. That's where I took the mark where I thought it would be on top. Shaved a little bit more out of here. Like I said, I got 1/4 inch still to bring in pretty much the whole cab. And I'll get on that probably tomorrow, if everything works out good. And we got to level it all out. Cut her a couple times with a zip cut down the seam there. And pretty close to getting her glued up. The guy can get on it and get it squared up. I'll have to bring out the screw jacks and tweak all the corners here and get it all leveled up and get the top pushed up here once it's ready to go. So, getting close. Well, I had to cut it apart a couple times there and take a little bit off and a little bit more off, and got a couple of gaps that are a little bigger than I was hoping for to get her all test fit up, but I think I've got some pretty decent body lines for what I have here, kind of matching everything else here. It's a little hard to line up. I don't have the strikers quite in the right spot there. I never played with them from one truck to the other. I also don't have the gasket on the door here to push out anywhere on it, so I figure the gasket will be on there. There's always going to be a bunch of pissing around with the door jams and everything anyway at the end. But I got the gap pretty close here. I got the gap nice on the striker. So I'm going to start welding it up. Got the other side done up too over there. Maybe give you a walk around. I just packed the bottom there and up on the drip rail for now, just to keep it in line. We'll be going through and doing the floor, putting a few stitches on it here and there, pull it all down, and then go through and do all my plug welds. And then go back, and we're going to jack the roof up a little bit there, try to put a little bit of a crown in there, because the way it works out, they're actually both going in down like this right from the get-go. So once I jack it up, it should crown it a bit. And that doesn't quite do what I want. I got a couple other ideas there. I sold support off the very front of the orange cab there, so if worst comes to worst, I'll be able to crown that up, cut the foam off, put it in there, and jack up on the roof, and I'm going to just hit with some spray foam in there if I need to, just to support the crown in it, and try to get away without using a whole bunch of filler where I don't need to. Either that or end up stretching it out and hammering it ollie. So going to be a lot of welding to do on here, and hopefully we'll get her done in the next, well, it's pretty much end of the day now, but next day I get up here. So like I say, this thing's definitely not my full-time job by any means. It's a little bit of a hobby, so probably be a couple days before I get back on it. Well, I'm not too sure if this is going to show up on camera here or not, but this 92 cab here, it's flat coming down right here in the profile. Like it's two different molds, and this one here on the 96, it's got a curve in it, and then it goes to the flat. So I'm going to have to transition that out here when I'm all said and done. Probably going to just cut the top piece out here and replace all this rust up top anyway, so I'm not too worried about this gap. And I can probably dolly that stuff in a little bit there with a hammer and make it line up and replace the door seal piece. And this stuff here is all not going to be too bad. And push it all down and get a seam, stitch on it here and there, and that'll keep it all pulled in for doing the all the plug welds. So all slowly coming together. You know, I can push her all down and seam seal it all up and have that all buffed up. You got the inside up at the top here. You got a staggered seam on it. I'm going to be going over that, and I'll probably plate this back in here after. I'm just going to sink that in a little more in a few spots so I can get it all pushed up, still binding slightly on itself. So show the other side. This is where I got a bigger boo-boo going on here, and like I say, it's all rusty and fairly thin here, so I'll just tack the edge there, and I'll get this all put in. I'll probably replace the top piece here so the gap won't mean anything there anyway. So, same thing, get the top going on there. And body lines. Probably going to throw these back doors on here. We'll find a set or throw the ones back on that were on it, just so I can get the seam figured out for the next one and have it all line up as well. So if any of y'all wondering what all the Sharpie mark here, that's most of that is hail damage from that hailstorm. So unfortunately, you're going to add a lot more playing to it. Sort of see what I'm saying here with the roof. I can jack it up and tack it and get it all set up size wise and pushed up. So and then the next fun part will be transitioning back into the Bronco back end. That'll be a total another video. I want to get this all welded up and figured out here first. So I'll get stitching. Alright, so, right, wrong, or indifferent, I've gone through here and I've stitched the top there, pushed it all down, get it all nice and flush as we can on this end. And I went underneath and pushed up on it and stitched the back end there. So basically what we have now is an overlap of about this much here. So I've got a nice strong joint on the bottom. And I'm going to go back and fill all these plug welds in. And all these stitches here are pulling all the, not only making it stronger, but pulling these together nice and tight, so when I seam seal it, I'm not using a ton of seam sealer down there. So, get these plug welds put on and So, I've got these load locks here. I've got the roof jacked up a little bit with them. Got a crown going on with it. Trying to take that dip out of the center as much as possible. But this side pretty much stitched up. There are a few little holes here and there. And working at spotting the other side together. Still got to do the inside rails there. I want to get this top done up here first. There's a few spots here with a larger gap than I was hoping for, but you know, I guess once you got the gap, you got to do something with it. Also going to throw it out there, there's a lot of good videos on YouTube on how to weld body panels, and a lot of different opinions on how to do it and different ways to set it up and all that. And basically I'm not an expert in any means on that, so it is what it is. I'm doing the best I can with what I got, and my limited knowledge on body panels. I'm usually more into 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch and up steel. So this is, from my understanding, the way to do it. Just keep tacking and tacking and tacking and letting it cool off. Don't get any beads, and hopefully won't warp too much. There's other people that'll blow them off with the air gun. I don't want to run the screw drive just to give it a little here and a there, and basically I'll just come back after with a hammer and dolly and stretch it out a little bit more than that. So, and I do the second fuel tank filler and stuff, I'll probably try to keep it a little cooler, but as it is, the two panels are sort of curving down to start with there, so gonna have to do a little bit of body work there with hammer and dolly and probably some fiberglass filler, and get her buffed up somewhat there. And I've been thinking long and hard about shooting the roof with the box liner after I paint it anyway. Multiple reasons. One, don't have to do quite as much body work on here. You know, just take the bigger dents out and fill the seams here and any low spots. It doesn't have to be, you know, gloss perfect. And number two, if I ever want to put a roof rack on top here, I've had opportunity to use vans and stuff like that with the roof racks, and one of the non-profits I volunteer with there had one up until they pretty much got banned here, and that roof was just thrashed from straps, backpack straps, and things like that, just rubbing and vibrating and flapping in the wind. So it's kind of one of those catch-22, you know. Sure, kind of taking the easy way out, I guess, but it for me, I think it'll prolong the life of the whole full build here. The other thing I've heard is that right on the seams, sometimes these things like to flex and pop and crack the paint, so that's the other reason I've been thinking about that box liner. It's a little more flexible. So, anyway, we'll get back at it. down for a bit. Getting warm. Well, looking at it here, you can see there's a little bit of a valley here. Right, little different angle here, and you can tell where I got the two rods pushed up in there. I'm gonna wet those down here. Everything's nice and cool. Got the seams welded. I've got the inside stacked. Probably gonna put a plate over top of here after. You can see got good penetration pretty much all the way through there. Once I grind down, I'll check for daylight and everything. That side welded up. The floor seamed together here for now. I'll pop these stands and we'll get at her. Well, these are just ratcheting cargo bar. Picked up this morning there at Princess, and figured at least that'll put a little tension on the roof instead of just letting it sag right down and pull in when it cools. Gotta look up top now. All in all, looking better than I thought it was gonna. I thought we'd have a real good dish there. Until where I had the rods. Do the next one. I might go pick another one up. Put one in the middle and then one on either side. So they helped out. So, getting close to wrapping this video off and starting another one when I do the Bronco back end there. Want to throw it out there. The grinding's kind of like the welding. You don't want to get too hot in one spot or you're back to warping it even worse. Well, that's where I think I'm going to leave this video here. I just did a quick flat sand disc across it. I'll have to go back with a newer one and finish the corners off and the edges and stuff. Just wanted to knock a bunch of crap off while the getting was good here. I'm going to take off and let all the dust settle out in the air. So this is what we're at anyway. For as far as this goes, I'm not going to take it any further for now. I'm going to get ready to get the Bronco back put on here. That'll be my next video. So, as you can see, for now, the rough seams look good, body lines look okay, so you know, back to the penetration through the roof from the top side. We're looking good. So if you like what you see so far with the 6-door. I'm going to keep going on it. So, wouldn't mind if you like it, give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and like I say, going to be many more series on this thing here before she's all painted, done up, and ready to roll. So, thanks for watching.